Good morning to my grade 9 students and welcome to the sixth week of our quarter 3. I hope you have your LEAP or your module ready with you as we discuss and answer the activities for this week. So let me start by presenting to you the most essential learning competencies that we're going to have for this week. Our MELC is to judge the validity of the evidence listened to, and our enabling competency is to interpret the information listened to. So our work plan for today is first, we're going to have the introduction, our discussion. Next is the answering and the discussion of our learning tasks. And plus, I'll explain to you what we're going to do in the engagement part. So that's number 2 in the development. We're going to have the key points. Afterwards, the things we have to remember about our lesson in number 3, assimilation. And the last part is the assessment part. Now let's have the introduction. As discussed in the previous week, we all know that listening is very important in our everyday living, since it is when we listen that we are able to give feedback or respond accordingly. So it's very important that when we're talking to other people, we not only speak but also listen to what they say. When we listen to them, we are able to communicate because we are able to respond to what they are saying. Now, there are two types of listening. One is passive and one is active. We can identify their differences by just looking at how they are called, passive and active. Now, let's look into each. Let's start with passive. Passive listening is when you hear someone or something without paying full attention. Why is it that we often use passive listening? We often use it when the person we are listening to doesn't need a response. Let me give you an example. For example, you are watching TV or using your laptop while cooking. We don't fully focus our attention to what we are watching, like the television or the video in the laptop, because we are doing something else. And it's very important for us to focus on in cooking, or else what we're cooking will be burnt or worse things might happen. Another example is when we are driving. Yes, we can listen to music, we can hear, yeah, we can listen to the sound or the song, we can even sing along, but we are not fully paying attention to the song or to what we are listening to while driving because we have to focus on driving because accidents might happen if um, we don't focus on driving. So that's when you passively listen. You passively listen because you are doing something else. So you are multitasking. Now let's proceed to the next one, which is active listening. Yeah, right? Look at the word, no? The word is active. So active listening is when you fully focus and understand the message of what is being said or listened to. So when do we use active listening? We use active listening when the person we're talking to needs a response afterwards. Say, for example, if you are attending an online class, you have to listen actively because the teacher might call you and she needs a response. Plus, if you don't listen actively, you won't comprehend and understand what is being discussed in your class. Another is when your friend is expressing her feelings and emotion and is asking an advice from you. Of course, you won't be able to give a good advice to your friend if you don't listen actively. Another is when you find a job in the future, your boss will be asking you for some outputs, for some results. So therefore, you have to listen actively to what he or she is saying, or else you won't be able to do your job excellently. So that's the difference between active and passive listening. Now let's read the conversation below and then let's judge which dialogue will we most likely believe. So there are two. Okay, the first one is a conversation between a doctor and a patient's mother. The next one is a conversation between an albularyo and a child's mother. So let me read the first one, the one between the doctor and the patient's mother. The mother said, "Doctor, what is wrong with my daughter?" The doctor said, "No need to worry. It is just diarrhea." The mother replied, "What should I do then?" The doctor said, "Make sure she drinks lots of water and takes a rest. Do not give her coffee and dairy products for the meantime." The mother says, "I will." "Thank you, doctor." Now let's proceed to the one on the right side. It's a conversation between an albularyo and a child's mother. The mother said, "Mang Pedro, why is my daughter in pain?" Mang Pedro replied, "A supernatural being likes her." The mother says, "Please heal her." Mang Pedro says, "I need to do some rituals for her to get well soon." And the mother replied, "Okay, thank you." Now, in the two conversation above, of course, we would probably believe conversation A more than B. Since if you will take a look at the first one, we all know that the doctor is an expert in his or her field. So when we ask a doctor for an advice or prescription, we are more likely to believe because they studied, they really graduated, right? They have a degree. Now, on the other hand, if you take a look at the conversation B, you will likely believe as well if you have an experience before being healed by an albularyo. But when it comes to the validity, of course, the doctor is more reliable than the other one, since she or he can explain to you or to the mother about the real situation of what is happening, unlike the albularyo. Okay, let's now proceed to the next one. In order to interpret, you must know first what it means and familiarize yourself with how you can do it. So when you interpret, you should be able to explain or convey the message of a certain topic to show that you understand it. You must be an active or attentive listener to do it. This means that you listen not merely to hear what someone says, but to understand what he or she is talking about. So remember, it's when we are having a conversation with somebody, we have to use active listening. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't use passive listening from time to time. Remember that you can use passive listening only that's possible only if you are listening to something that doesn't need a respond, and you don't need all the details of what you're listening to. Okay, now when listening, you can better understand when you have first wide vocabulary. Of course, if you're talking to someone and the person is not using familiar words, you won't be able to comprehend. So you have to have a wide vocabulary. Next is good memory. So for you to be able to respond, you have to fully understand and remember what the person is talking about. And of course, full attention or high concentration. Now let's proceed to our learning task one. So we're already in the development part. So I will be reading to you the lyrics of the song "Reach Out" by Take That. So if you have internet connection at home, you may listen to the song using the link that is flashed on the screen. Now, since we're going to answer some questions, we're going to um, answer what the song is all about. I'm going to read to you the lyrics of the song. Okay, the song says, if our arms were reaching out, if our words could only bridge the doubt, will we lose this chance again? Strange roads with different signs don't even know where we divide. Are you my enemy or my friend? Cause I don't know you and you don't know me. It's the same sun rising. We all just look at to the sky. If we try, we can work it out somehow. If you don't know me and I don't know you, how can we be fighting? We're all connected, it's true. Reaching out, it's only love that pulls us through. It's only love that pulls us through. We all grieve in different ways. If one tear could wash away the pain, we're all free to have the faith we believe, yet. The world sleeps at different times. With one turn, your day is now my night. We all live sharing the air that we breathe, reaching out, reaching high, reaching out, touching you, touching me. If our arms were reaching out, if our words could only bridge the doubt. Now, overall, what is the song trying to tell us? First, it's trying to tell us that only love and care for each other can pull us through. So if we have concern for one another, everything will work out. The next one is we all live sharing the air that we breathe, meaning to say we are all equal. And words and communication can bridge our doubt. Through communication, we are going to understand each other. And we can work something out by reaching out to others or by helping other people. Now let's proceed to learning task number 2. So here is a transcript of a radio play entitled Sorry Wrong Number. So if you have a gadget and internet connection, you may also find the audio file of this and so that you would be able to listen and understand it more um, effectively. Now, the learning task says we are going to figure out the words in the play by arranging the underlined jumbled letters in the text. So let me start with, I have here the sound number being dialed on phone, busy signal. Okay, so Mrs. Stevenson says, oh dear, operator, your call please. Mrs. Stevenson says, operator, I've been dialing Murray Hill 40098 now for the last 3/4 of an hour, and the line is always busy. But I don't see how it could be busy that long. Will you try it for me, please? The operator replied, Murray Hill 40098. One moment, please. Mrs. Stevenson replied, I don't see how it could be busy all the time. It's my husband's office. He's working late tonight, and I'm all alone here in the house. My health is very poor, and I've been feeling so nervous all day. Operator says, ringing Murray Hill 40098. So there's a sound, a phone buzz. It rings 3 times and the receiver is picked up at the other end. The man says, hello? Mrs. Stevenson's reply, hello? 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 The man says, hello? Hello? The second man says, hello, with a slow, heavy, quality, faintly foreign accent. The first man says, hello, George? George replied, yes, sir. Mrs. Stevenson, louder and more imperious to the phone. Hello? Who's this? What number am I calling, please? The first man says, we have heard that we have heard from our client. He says the coast is clear for tonight. George replied, yes, sir. First man says, where are you now? George replied, in a phone booth. The first man says, okay, you know the address. At 11 o'clock, the private patrolman goes around to the bar on 2nd Avenue for a beer. Be sure that all the lights downstairs are out. There should be only one light visible from the street. At 11:15, a subway train crosses the bridge. It makes a noise in case her window is open and she should scream. And then Mrs. Stevenson was shocked. Oh, hello, what number is this, please? George replied, okay, I understand. The first man says, make it quick. As little blood as possible. Our client does not wish to make her suffer long. George says, a knife okay, sir? The first man replied, yes, a knife will be okay. And remember, remove the rings and bracelets and the jewelry in the bureau drawer. Our client wishes it looks like a simple robbery. Okay, so that's the answer for our learning task 2. Dialing, nervous, number, client, phone, address, scream, suffer, bureau, and robbery. Okay, let's proceed to the learning task 3. This is something you should do with a partner. So let me read and explain it to you. Work in pairs and write a dialogue about one of the topics listed below. When your partner is speaking, you should write down what he or she is saying and vice versa. When you have finished the conversation, check what both of you have written and put them together. Be guided by the rubric below. So you have to have a partner, and you will be talking up to your partner about one of the topics. So the topics are a conversation between friends about COVID-19, an argument between siblings, and an interview with your parent guardian about education during pandemic. So here is how you're going to be graded. The criteria is conventions, so there should not no grammar, capitalization, spelling, and punctuation errors in the final draft to get 10 points. Clarity, your story should be well organized. One idea or scene should follow another in logical sequence with clear transition. Next is creativity. So your story should contain many creative details and or description that contribute to the reader's enjoyment. And last one, the dialogue. Your dialogue is always clear, which character is speaking, and the dialect is well developed and varied. So I'll be sending you a message on who will be your partner so that everybody in our class will have partners. So remember, you should um, write a dialogue. You should write your classmates or your partner's answer, and afterwards, you create the final output or the final draft. Okay, so let me proceed to the next one. We're going to recall the key points about what we have discussed today. The first one is that, of course, listening is an integral part of communication. We talk about how important listening is, and we found out that there are two types of this listening. First one is active, and the next one is passive listening. So when you fully focus and understand the message of what is being said or listened to, that's active listening. So you're only concentrating or focusing on the person you're listening to. While passive is when you hear someone or something without paying full attention to what is being said or heard. Passive listening is okay from time to time, only remember, only if what you are listening to or who you are listening to does not require a reply. Okay, now having enough vocabulary, memory, and concentration will really help us to comprehend what is being said by the speaker or what is being conveyed in the material we are listening to. So it's very important that we have wide vocabulary, good memory, and high concentration. Now let's proceed to the final part, which is the assessment. Of course, we should be able to defend why a situation requires active listening or passive listening. So let's start with number one, listening to news on the radio. As we all know that as a citizen, a Filipino citizen, we are required and we must be updated about the current happenings, current issues in our countries. Now, when we're listening to the news on the radio, we have to know the details about it in order for us to not to spread false information. So therefore, when we are listening to the news on the radio, we have to use active listening. The next one is number two, listening to music on your way to school. Now, if we are driving, of course, we have to focus or focus our attention to the road, right? Or when we are walking or commuting, we have to be aware of our surroundings. So when we're listening to music on our way to school, we have to use passive listening. The next one, talking to your siblings about your dream. Of course, when we are asking for advice, we are sharing information, ideas, feelings to other people. It requires active listening so that we'll be able to reply to their answers, or we can also give advice when needed. Next one is watching TV while answering the module. If we fully focus on the TV, of course, we won't be able to answer our module. That's why when answering module, we only have to listen passively to the television. The next one is classroom meetings where you have active tasks and duties. As I discussed and said earlier, your teacher might require you to answer. Your group mates will be asking you for your suggestions, for your opinions. So when you're attending classroom meetings, of course, you have to actively listen. The next one, number six, when your little siblings are playing while you are in your room, okay, of course, it you are not part of the group, which is who are playing, right? So you can just passively listen to them. Next one, when your loved one has a serious topic, the word serious, okay, is being emphasized. So he or she would like to talk about um, it with you. So if it's something serious, of course, your loved one requires you wants you to listen actively. Next, listening to the homily while you are passing by the church to go somewhere. So since you're already doing two things here, you are multitasking, so you can just passively listen. But of course, if you are in the church, you have to actively listen to the homily. Next one, number nine, talking to your parent about as you tell them about some sort of battles you are facing. Of course, if this requires active listening, because battles or challenges in life, if you are experiencing such, you need some people who will listen to you attentively, right? You want their attention to be fully focused on you so that they can understand you and give you advice. So this has to be active listening. That's one, listening to a nice friend share with you his or her latest encounters and sharing your ideas and feelings in return. So this is just like number 10. It's just that this time your friend, your nice friend, requires you to actively listen to her or him for you to be able to share your ideas and feelings in return. Okay, so I hope that you are able to understand our lesson for this week, and I'd like to thank you for that. If you have any questions about what we need to do in the engagement part, you can just send me a message. So thank you so much for listening. If you have any question, I am just a bit away.